One of the questions that we wanted to talk with Sister Janice about was actually it's a two-part conversation. We want to talk about education because she was basically born in the teaching field. And we also want to talk about her principle of choice, which just happens to be Ujima. All right, how you doing today,
I'm
Miss
good. How are
Rowley?
you? How y'all
Uh,
doing?
we doing good, man. Over this part, we somewhere between the earth and the sky, ain't touching dirt
That's
no
it.
way.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
That's
But
right.
so how's things going in Detroit for you, far as the whole education piece, if you don't mind me asking?
So, Detroit, the poorest, most segregated urban center in the entire United States, we're struggling. We were
Mm.
struggling before COVID. COVID adds a layer of struggle that is almost incomprehensible. So, we're challenged up here. In addition to today is the first day of winter, I am a child of the sun, so I ain't happy.
Uh, but hey, so speaking of that, you do know that there's a major conjunction happening, which is has been taken in the past days as a sign of change. So get out
Yes,
there and catch those rays, baby. This is going
that's right.
our time is coming. So now, if you were in charge of education in Detroit or even the nation, because we got big dreams here, Giami Journey. We talking about
That's
doing
right.
some political things. What would be some of the changes that you would make in the education system?
So it's really interesting that you asked that question as we discuss the third principle of Kwanzaa, because
Mm-hmm.
the truth is one of the reasons why we are failing in a general sense in public education is because we continue to try to educate the kids, period. And the truth is we have to collectively participate in this process called education. It doesn't just include the kids. It
Mm,
includes their parents, it includes their community, it includes the larger family of sorts. Educating a child alone is just us treading uphill constantly. We have
mm,
to be working collectively, everyone, in terms of education. So if I were in charge, it would be a much more it would be a process that would be much more collective. It would involve, in any way we could, more than just the students.
mm. So you said we've been kind of like in a sense trading water, climbing up a hill over and over again. How how is the way we do education now? In what ways have you seen it affecting us as far as society, affecting us especially in the Black community? You know what I'm saying? Because like what are some of the issues that you have seen come out of how we're educating our young people?
So, one of the concerns I've had over and over and over again, I started in the education game on the collegiate level. And so I started teaching adults. It was my youthfulness and my love of young people that led me to decide to go the K-12 route. When I went the K-12 route, I then learned the classroom. I wound up working at the district level, and now I'm back in the school. So I've seen education at every single level. And one of the things that's true is that the more deficits students have, the more attention is given to, I think, a lot of all the wrong things. For example, if we've got students that are coming from homes and families where education is not a value, there
Mm,
are all kinds of things that a teacher is, there are all kinds of things that education does or does not do to address that issue that makes things either complicated or easier. Does that make sense? Or
yes. So now check this out. How do you feel about this? Because this is one of the things that bother me. I went to a store the other day. I won't say which store I went to. No, but one of my teachers was working at the store.
Mhm.
Do you experience that in Detroit, where the what teachers are being paid is so minuscule
Yes.
that teachers have to work 2 and 3 jobs?
Yes. So, yes, teachers struggle, as do a lot of people. And up until very recently, Detroit Public Schools actually paid we were among some of the least paid teachers, not just in this area, but in the nation. There's recently been um, a move that first year teachers will now be paid in excess of $50,000 in our district. There was not a massive raise given to those of us with the most experience, but yeah, it's not unusual for teachers, particularly those that have families, to have multiple jobs in order to survive. That's not unusual at all.
Well, I have a question on that because as we're talking about the collective effort that it's going to take to educate ourselves, I was thinking about the teacher, and a lot of times I find that I tend to do my best teaching even while I'm learning.
Yes.
And, when we do things like, what's it called when, you get to forego your paying your
loan
college, your loans.
forbearance or something like that.
No. Well, basically, I guess you have to do so much time teaching in the quote unquote inner city.
Yes.
And then you get to forego your loans, right?
Yes. Teach for America.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And so we sweeten the pot, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But then what it draws is not necessarily in our best interest. Because, even as you just pointed out, okay, so I draw this new group of people in, but those who have the most experience and the most know-how, they're not really seeing that kind of benefit for staying in the field.
Right. And let me add, that's an excellent point. And let me add this. For a very long time, there's been a lot of discussions about programs such as Teach for America and other programs that ask the best and the brightest to come into the teaching profession. If you do this for 3 to 5 years, we'll pay off all of your loans. Here's the rub. Education as an undertaking, if done justly, requires a great deal of personal commitment from those who are involved. If my primary commitment is to pay off my student loans, right, then yes, for a period of time, I'll do what I have to do. But many of those students coming into the program know that after that 3 to 5 year period, they're off to do what they really want to do. And so for me, as a person dedicated to both the profession and the kids, those people they're dangerous to me because of their lack of commitment to the only thing that matters in the process. And so while they may be very bright, when they are teaching a particular lesson, they're not light on their feet to immediately address what's missing. They're not thoughtful about the enterprise that they're engaged in. They're just trying to get to the next pay period to get eventually for their loans to be paid off. And so while I've met some very knowledgeable teachers in programs like that, the vast majority of them are quite honestly not interested in the work. And you can tell in terms of what the output that you get.
Now you talking about this whole commitment piece, man. Listen. All right. So you got people getting in the field, and let me add this to the end of that. You have some people who get in for the 3 to 5 years, and then end up being stuck because the dream that they were trying to pursue, they no longer pursue, and they get hooked on the salary, so they can't leave now because they have invested in life.
Right.
So now we got somebody in the classroom who don't even like our kids,
right,
our children. Forgive me, our children, and they're tearing our kids up.
Yes.
Now, so before we get into this whole GMA piece, what are some of the methods that you use to bring out the best in your students?
So first and foremost, always most importantly, it's about relationships. And so in Detroit, of course, many of the students I've had over the years are very distrustful of authority, very distrustful of adults, and rightfully so for a lot of reasons. And so, one of the things that I do when I first meet students, first of all, when students have me, my reputation precedes me. And so, I have to break down walls, and because I really am seen as tough, as no nonsense, as very, very serious about education. We live in a world today where we give our children way too much authority to choose, for example, who their teachers are. And so when kids come to me, I already know that I need to humanize myself for them to get them to be able to begin to do the work. And so I introduce myself to them. I tell them that I came through the same school district they did. I tell them that I'm a second, third generation teacher, and that no matter what, my mission is that I'm going to, wherever I meet you on the academic scale, I'm going to take you past that by the time our work is done. And so I sort of make a promise to them. The baby. I sort of make a promise to them that I'm going to elevate their thinking.
All right. So what you caught me with something else, because this is something I wanted to hit on anyway. You said that you are a third generation teacher.
Yes. Yes.
So you gonna have to break that shit down for me. Excuse me.
So behind me, that dude in the flowered shirt is my dad. He's been gone 2 years now, but my father's father was one of the first African American men ever hired to teach instrumental music in Detroit public schools. His father was also a musician who was a teacher. And so my father taught for nearly 42 years in Detroit public schools. He didn't just teach in DPS for nearly 42 years. My dad spent the vast majority of his tenure in Southwest Detroit, which is largely Latino. And so my dad was so committed to not just teaching, but to his students, that he taught himself Spanish so as to be able to more effectively communicate with the parents of all of his students, because it is my father who taught me that education is not just about the children in front of you, it's about their families and their extended communities. And so much of what makes me an effective teacher, much of what makes me the educational chameleon, is because I was literally trained by a master. Literally. The man next to him in the picture is my brother and my mentor, Dr. Carl Taylor, who's a longtime criminologist, sociologist at Michigan State, who is very, very knowledgeable. He is one of the foremost leading academics about criminology, gangs, and gang behavior. And so not only am I very knowledgeable about the academic piece, it's what I bring in terms of my knowledge about human beings, about what people need spiritually and socially. All of that is what comes together to make me an effective teacher. There are a lot of teachers that have pieces of all of that. The most effective are those that come with that full package, who understand curriculum alone is just words on a page. And if you want to move kids, you got to know kids. You don't have to love them or love their behavior, but you got to like working with young people. And if you don't, you belong someplace else. Like, it takes a special kind of person to be able to work with young folks. And all anybody needs to do is think back to when you were a young person. That's all you have to do.
You dropped the bomb in that one,
wow.
man. You said to move kids, you have to know kids. Listen up, teachers. To move kids,
yes,
you have to know kids. And she broke it down. Her secret sauce is relationships.
That's right.
But hold now. So when you went to school, were you focused on becoming a teacher?
Never. Yeah. Like I spent my father. So when I was a little girl and they would ask me as a little girl, what do you want to be? I never said, well, sometimes I said what I wanted to be, but most of the time I would say, I don't know, but I don't want to be a teacher. And that was because my dad just seemed so busy with everybody's life. I had decided as a kid I didn't want to do that. But that's why I think I'm a living manifestation of teachers are born, not necessarily made. Like I fought what my calling was until I finally surrendered to it being my calling.
So when I met you at Ohio State, what was your major?
When you met me at Ohio State in grad school, the major was American history and Black studies, but I didn't envision ever being a teacher. Never. Like I was thinking about, first of all, I was doing what I was doing in large part because I was still trying to find what it was I wanted to do. I just was going to use that for something else, Hatim. I had no plans on being a teacher. None.
Wow. But you was even teaching when we was there. That's
I
crazy.
was. That's right.
That's crazy.
Wow.
That's right.
She said that anything but a teacher, but that's all she was doing.
Yeah.
She was, hey man, this for all those out there, this is the first lady that introduced me to what a sexist was. I didn't even know. And she broke it down and started teaching it. I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I won't use those terms anymore. Sexist? What is sexist? I never heard this before. What the hell? Is it wrong?
I didn't say sexist, Hatim. I think I remember that was one of the first times you heard the term misogynist. And you were like, I'm a what?
I don't hit nobody. I don't hit nobody. I ain't violent.
Right.
That's funny.
Which brings me to something else about the whole education game. You know, I think a lot about the movie where Colonel Jessup yells, "You can't handle the truth." One of the things that students will say about me, whether they just meet me or it's 20 years later, they always say, "You think what you want about Miss Rowley, but she ain't got nothing for you but the truth. She got this, the truth, no chaser." And telling the truth to students, to teachers, to families, I do that at great risk, except I don't know any other way. I don't know any other way.
But that's because part of education is exposing individuals to the truth.
Yes.
And we have to be in some cases you have to be so politically correct that you can't be honest about a child because sometimes it takes their reality for the parents and the child to snap into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You got, because like I be telling my teacher sometimes because they always start off with, because in the book they tell us we supposed to start off with a positive.
Yes.
Not if it ain't no positives there. I'm like, no.
Nope.
Like what the hell? But you can't as a teacher, you handcuff a teacher if you teach them not to tell the truth.
That's right.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Right.
And it becomes extremely difficult to discern the real from the unreal, and not only for yourself because you can't be authentic, but for those who are coming up under you.
Yes.
So how have you, because like I said, being third generation in the game, seeing education, your parents were involved with a lot of the changes that happened in education.
Yes.
And then you came in later in life, going into education. How have you been able to deal with the new method? Because I ain't gonna say maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but it seems like it's a new method of grading now.
So there is, in my humble opinion, this is what I tell my students. I tell them, because I'm teaching at the highest performing high school in my district. So kids come with a great deal of ego power when they're my students. I do teach predominantly 12th grade. The other half of the day, I support and mentor teachers. But I have to tell a lot of my students, listen, you're focused on the grade. I'm focused on the skill. I de-emphasize grading in my classes because I help the students to understand the grade is important to you. Teaching you the skill is important to me. And
Right.
so I
Okay.
de-emphasize grading. When students talk to me about grades, I always push back and make them refocus on what were you supposed to learn and how did you demonstrate to me whether you learned it. And so in my class, grading is a different conversation. In fact, to be quite honest, all this educational policy tells you general in K-12. They tell you things like, in order for the kids to keep working, when you assign work, you have to grade it and get it back to them quickly. I am, without doubt, guilty of not doing that all of the time because, like I've explained, I de-emphasize grading. My students know when they're learning because I make clear what the goal is, and they themselves know whether they're meeting it or not. And so what the conversations we have in my classes about grading are very different from what's happening in a lot of other classes. You got to learn the skill. If you learn the skill, your grade will be wonderful.
Sister Janice, my background's in mathematics, and part of the difficulty
Yes,
that I have with a lot of the children I tutor is they're afraid to make mistakes,
absolutely.
and I try to and, and how Tim's is one as well. We try to encourage our young to make mistakes
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because at least in other words, I may give a student 3 different ways of solving a problem.
Yes.
I may give them a college way so that they can see the shortcut to know the answer.
Yes.
But then, as you point out, you have to develop the skill
Yes.
in order to be able to arrive at that. And so,
Absolutely.
you know, but yeah, it's a difficult thing trying to get people to just say, okay, let me have this free moment or free time to make mistakes.
That's right. So I teach my students a statement that by the time they leave me, they know it by heart. I tell them, and it starts off with me saying, repeat after me. Academic success comes on the other side of immense frustration and failure. I make them say
Damn.
that all of the time.
Oh,
Wait.
I'll say it
Is
again.
that wait? Did you? Is that yours?
I did that. I did
You
that. So
you
let me
got
say
the
it.
trademark on that because I'm about to steal that shit.
Let me
There.
say
That's
it to you.
good.
Let me say it to you this way. Again, working at the highest performing high school in the district, my students come with a whole lot of A's on their transcript. And so they are accustomed to being affirmed by getting A's. One of the first things that happens in my class right around the end of September or October is kids have straight grown people attitude with me because I have obliterated that paradigm. My grade book doesn't look like what they're accustomed to. But because I, from day one, am building relationships, they know I'm being fair. They know it's not personal or emotional. And I say to them, it's okay. I said, people don't come in the world winning. That happens on TV. Academic success, and then they repeat, academic success comes on the other side of immense frustration and failure. And over time, me making them say it over and over again, them being able to watch themselves grow, not necessarily by the grades getting better, but by their success at the skills getting better. By the time we get to the end of the first semester, those kids know that statement and they start sharing it with their friends who are not my students. I've used it year after year after year. And to be quite honest, it was a sentence created out of the frustration of my students. I understood what Kwame just said. I understood that kids who are from communities that are just mired in loss, all they want is a win. And so we can get you to the win, but wins are not achieved every time you try something. You become a winner after you failed a lot. I have a video on YouTube that talks about if you want to teach a child to win, you got to teach him how to lose. Period.
Man, all right. So now
Powerful.
let's go on and Kurt. Let's
Love
go
and
on and
faith.
Kurt. Listen, I told you my sister be bringing the heat. Hold on, she don't be bringing the heat. On the other side, academic success come on the other side of massive
Immense frustration and failure.
God damn.
Like failure is not the end of the world. We have to condition our students to understand failure is a part of the whole process of walking a path. You're not going to win all the time.
But it ain't the kids we got to go in
No, that's what I'm
with.
saying.
It's those parents, because I be having parents talk about, I had a parent come in like a third quarter of a school year and be like, my baby ain't never had a C.
Yep.
I said, ma'am, your baby is in the kindergarten. What the hell is you talking about?
Exactly.
How are we supposed to have a real conversation here?
Exactly.
When you in an illusion.
Right. So another part of what makes you successful in the classroom, Hatim, is exactly what you're talking about. Listen, I've had parents come to parent-teacher conference, and you can tell when they sit down that they have practiced how they gonna check me in the mirror at home. But then what I do, because I understand that everything that I do is about relationships, I allow that parent, and I'm not just talking about mothers, I'm talking about fathers too. I allow that parent to have that emotional space, and I let them attack me however they're going to attack me. One of the things I do that probably has gotten me in trouble a couple times is I have a faint smile on my face as they're attacking me. And that is for me to not respond in kind. But then when it's time for me to talk, one of the first things that I say is, Mom, Dad, let me be clear. I'm in partnership with you to make your kid smarter. I'm in partnership with you to give your kids skills that they'll be able to use and apply beyond my class. I am not in the business of giving kids good grades just because. You should know if your child gets a good grade from my class, they have worked to earn it. It will make them better long term. The gifts I'm giving your kid transcend the class they're in with me. I'm teaching them real things about real life. By the time I'm done with my little speech in response to their emotional breakdown, parents are putty in my hands because they understand I care about their child and that I'm hard on their child because I want to make them better. And so a lot of parents immediately step back. Like I've had parents say things, they'll come to attack me. By the time we're done talking, they'll give me permission to bop the kid upside the head anytime I want to. Call me, Miss Rowley, if you have any problems. Here's my cell phone, my email. And so you have to build relationships and trust with the parents so that they can be your backup at home. You want parents saying, I know you did Miss Rowley's homework. I know, you want that. And so you have to build relationships with the extended family too. You are not in relationship with just that child in that desk. You're in relationship with the entire family.
We need to learn how to teach. So, all right, because even before I get to the last thing, what's next for you when you step down from necessarily, you're always going to be a teacher, but when you step out of the district, because I mean, you doing some heretical talking right here, right now. They're gonna chase you up out of there because it's like you telling the truth. You breaking all the rules. You telling the truth. You're not scared of the parents. You have a certain commitment. You have a fire about you, and the school system don't want nobody like that.
So I do. So let me say this. I've spent my entire career being there for teachers. And so one of the things I'm trying to do right now with intention is I really want my voice to be one that can be heard by people everywhere who are really in this for the long run, who are really in this to make a difference in the life of children, because I've garnered a lot of knowledge and understanding that I think can be shared with other people to give them the same kind of success with young people. And so after this, whatever that means, I just want to have a larger voice, a larger audience to be able to make a bigger difference. Because we got this whole education thing wrong in this nation. It's just wrong. We're those that need the most are actually getting the least.
Mm,
Our
mm,
expectations and
Mhm.
standards for the least among us could not be lower. We're
Right.
being outperformed by nations all over the universe. And not that I'm not saying that we need to be, if we're the wealthiest nation on earth, it makes no sense to me at all that our educational system is failing so many students unless you consider that some of it's being done by design.
mm, mm, mm. So give the people a little hint of one of the ways that you are expanding your voice.
So
And
I have a podcast called
okay,
Thoughts from the Teacher. It's available on iTunes and Spreaker and Spotify. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I hang out with Hatim all the time. Um, you got questions, I got answers. All you have to do is reach out. I really love mentoring other teachers, other people who are in the business of trying to make this world a better place for these young people.
Lord have mercy. All right, so now
Mm.
on to Ujima. When I called her, I asked her. I said, "I want to interview you." Of course, my sister said yes. Because that's what big sisters do for little
That's
brothers.
right. That's right.
So, and I said, "Which principal would you like to pick?" She said Ujima, and she said it because it fit with her idea about education. Can you tell us how Ujima, even though you already did, but go a little bit further in how Ujima fits in with education?
So it's the third principle. Um, Three isn't that the number of wisdom and harmony
It can be, but it's also the number of communication.
and communication and creativity and optimism. And so I just see this principle as having a direct connection to education because, again, you can think that when you are teaching a child something, you're just teaching that child. The truth is, you're teaching their family, their friends, their siblings, and the larger world. Teachers have more power than I think they oftentimes consider. And the task that we do, we may instruct, for example, those of us that teach K-12, we're instructing these young people, these children in front of us, but everything that they're learning from us seeps into the rest of the world.
Mm,
Everything that we put in them is going to come out of them, just as what happens to them in their homes and families. And so I just think that adults in particular need to be more cognizant of the fact that children are learning all of the time. And so, what are you teaching the children that are paying attention to you? Like, all adults are the teachers of children because children look to imitate. Adults need to be much more serious about what they're putting out because young people are picking up, imitating, listening, making judgments about right and wrong, good and bad, what is valued and what shouldn't be valued. We have to step our adult game up.
Mm.
These young people that so many adults talk so negatively about are a literal mirror
mm.
of us.
Right.
All the
Say
things
that.
that we see
Say
that we
that.
don't like, we need to, like Michael Jackson said, be that man in the mirror. They're
Mm,
getting it honestly. One of the things I spend a lot of times talking to teachers about, a teacher will come to me and say, "Have you ever met?" And they'll be out of their mind about a kid. And oftentimes my response is, "Have you ever talked to his mother?" And then there's a lot of pause because children in general they're not Martians that just behave in some crazy way. there are always explanations that have to do with who they're coming from, what's going on there, etc.
So a true teacher realizes that they're not teaching a student, but they're teaching a collective.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Speak to
And
how
a responsible adult recognizes that when they're interacting with a child, they're also interacting with other adults in that child's life. It's not this singular back and forth. Like we used to understand how impressionable children were. At some point, we began to forget that our children are children. Just because we put more responsibility on them doesn't make them any more mature. They are still children.
Children.
that's right. You know, your father, because he had taught Spanish speaking children, I can imagine how that impressed upon you that whole notion of what you teach that child, it goes back home and filters
Absolutely.
through that family.
Absolutely.
Because I can't, you know, the number of, I used to more or less watch over Spanish speaking children while their parents would be, quote unquote, upstairs learning English as a second
Yes.
language.
Yes.
And I had established a relationship with one of the parents, and it was interesting. I mean, this is kind of funny, but I'll make it quick. I was doing a graduate class in Spanish, and I wanted him to hear it to, you know, to make sure it flowed correctly, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I forgot I was calling him, and I said, "Hey, is George there?" And he was like, "No," and hung up the phone.
Oh.
And then I thought about it again. I was like, "Oh snap!" Right? This dude ain't gonna talk to nobody in English, right? So
Yep.
I called back and asked for him. Of course, talking to him in Spanish, and now he's there, right?
Yeah.
But again, so that was from my Spanish speaking experiences. I'm sure your father,
Yes.
conveyed that message to you through his experience.
Absolutely.
But also a number of our African children.
Yes.
Particularly, I'm thinking of West Africa.
Yes.
With this one family in particular where literally a 15 to 16-year-old young lady is intelligent as all get out from Senegal. And her mom basically gives all papers to her to handle that business that deals with schooling and stuff.
Right.
And so, yeah, there's just interesting to note how these things, occur, because
Absolutely.
a lot of us just don't think about that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Man, oh man. So, you got anything else for us?
Who, me?
Yeah, you. He's freestyle time now. We about to flow.
This is the she said, "No, the wealth of stuff over there."
I just So what else can I add? Let me say this. Okay, so here we go. All of this madness that's happening right now in this nation relative to COVID, like we're dealing with a pathogen, like that's the science of it. But one of the things I cannot turn my head away from is this is also helping those of us who are thinkers to see just how much work we need to do in this nation to assist people with being able to interpret basic facts and information. The ability of all of these millions of people to be intellectually manipulated by absolute nonsense is frightening to me as a person who understands the development of the mind. It is scary to me to see so many adults, families, and communities who will tell you the sky is blue if it's purple. I just see it as a clarion call to all of us interested in education. Like, we can see all around us, we got a lot of work to do.
A whole lot.
As a collective, speaking of our Kwanzaa principle,
and the responsibility.
Yes, collectively, we have a lot of work to do. Like, we got a lot of work to do when we have nearly 80 million people talking about a virus is a hoax. A lot of work to do. A lot of work to do.
I often talk about the practical application of, some of the things we know. And because one of my backgrounds, at least, that I tutor statistics, I was thinking about a practical application for a kind of introduction into statistics for our young.
Yes.
And like you said, I mean, when I first heard about the virus and I heard about all the naysayers and this, that, and the other, one of my underlying questions was, okay, one real simple way of getting a gauge on this is go over the past 10 years, see what the average number of deaths is, at a certain point in the year, compare it with, what we've just gone through.
Yes, yes.
That's one way, a quick, fast, dirty way, but, that's one way to do it. And then it becomes a matter of, okay, where are you getting your statistics? And so these are different things that I will be posing to some of our young warriors, to get them to see how trying to discern the real from the unreal,
Yes. Yes.
To get a gauge, because I don't care whether you believe it's COVID or not.
Right.
If our numbers, particularly as it pertains to us as Black people, if we're dying off at the rates that I'm hearing, then I don't care what it is, we need to be highly concerned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with a legitimate history of distrust of the medical and scientific community anyway,
yes,
we have a lot of work to do.
So, all right, 2021, your predictions of 2021, you think it's going to be a better year?
As it relates to what? I'm sorry.
For education.
So
everything.
The thing that's sad.
I'm trying to pull out the Nostradamus in you, baby.
No. The thing that's sad is, as I get older, unfortunately, I'm losing faith in just in the ability of people to get past their own whatever in the name of humanity. Like, it seems to me I'm seeing less of that in the world. And so 2020 was awful. I'm beyond hopeful and faithful that 2021 will be better. But like I said, when I listen to the voices of Americans, I'm concerned. When I'm listening to what's not being said, because as far as I'm concerned, what Kwame just highlighted, I don't think we've had adequate at all enough discussion about what this virus is doing to communities of color. And the whole notion of public health is something that needs to be discussed by everybody. But like, race is just this thing that precludes advancement in what's supposed to be a progressive nation. So, Hatem, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful it's going to be a better year.
Unfortunately, I don't believe you. You don't sound enthusiastic and shit.
I
don't believe it. You sound like one of those teachers now trying to explain how my son is an idiot with all these. Listen, I'm hopeful that they said he was in 12th grade, but what I'm seeing is, but I'm hopeful that he will be able to make it through this.
Sister Janice, I'll see my wife, she'll be at her office desk in the other room, and I go in there, babe, how you doing? and she'll say something about fine or something like that. I said, could you be a little more convincing?
2021. She started off going down the road like I'm losing faith. And then she did all that. Then she turned around and say, well, I'm hopeful. Oh,
I gotta have faith. If I don't have faith, what I got? I gotta have faith.
No, but Janice, I hear you. I hear you, Janice, because you were going old school. You know, one of the things when I was younger with my grandmother, and I might have done something I wasn't supposed to somebody, right?
Right.
And she'll say, go say you're sorry. And I look at her like, well, I ain't sorry. She said, well, basically, you go and fake it till you make it.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So that's coming from the old school.
You do things because they're right. Period. Yep.
That's right.
And that's hard in America, man. That's hard in America.
It is.
But Tim, I mean, you know how hard it is because we practice self-mastery.
Yep.
Right.
And that is not easy.
Not easy at all. I'll be falling off the damn wagon all the time. I'll be like, and then my people do stuff that just kind of I'll be like, I gotta go. I can't.
We'll talk to the difficulty that part of it is that we assume that the adults should know better. We give children some leeway because we understand that their experiences may not have taught them any better, or they may not have seen some of the stuff we've seen. So we give them that leeway.
Yes.
And because, those of us in this self-mastery plan, because we constantly fall, when we pull on that compassion, it allows us with, Janice, you keep emphasizing, and what I try to constantly stress, and what Tim tries to constantly stress, relationships.
Yes.
Is how you rebuild us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Amen. That's it.
Relationships.
That's it.
Which is a major factor in Ujima.
Yes.
There is no Ujima.
That's right.
Without a relationship. You can't have a collective without relationships.
That's right.
Relationships require responsibility.
That's right.
Sister Janice, I don't want to beat up on Tim or anything, but he gets these people who come on the line and talk about how Kujichagulia is the most important, or they feel it's number one on the Ngusa side of the list, right?
Hey, man.
I want you to speak to how, if you take away any one of those other principles, how Kujichagulia just falls apart.
Well, I just see Kwanzaa as this collective thing.
Yes.
That if you take away any one of them, it alters what is left behind. But let me say this about my brother Hatim. He has always straddled the line of hardcore revolutionary, heart of a dove. The thing about Hatim that I love so much is he gives everybody an opportunity to add something to the gumbo. He knows that sometimes what the person is adding is messing it up.
Yeah.
But he always has the faith that he's got enough other stuff to add to it that it'll counteract that little bit of bad juju.
I never thought about that.
I'm giving you words to what you do, bro.
Right.
I'm giving you words.
Well, it's like grandma, right? When she was, cooking, she tasted, nah, this ain't quite right. let me
but no one could accuse Hatim of not presenting all kinds of alternative opinions. No one could say that he is this brother that is only towing one line. I mean, he is towing a single line, but he's interested in voices on all sides, all along the way. He has always enjoyed the challenge of defending his personal beliefs. He's always been that way. And he likes controversy a little bit. So the more anti you are to his belief and opinion, oftentimes the more he wants to engage you, not necessarily to change the other person's mind, but to solidify the length of the argument that he can present to someone else. He wants to be strong and well versed in his belief. And it irritates some, but it's just who he is. He's always been that way.
But that's also part of that self-mastery.
Absolutely.
Because the deeper you go into what your interest is,
yep,
and what you try to defend,
yep,
that's the more aware you become of the other ideas, perspectives around. So yeah.
Janice, you sound extremely good over there. You using your mic right now?
Nope.
Why you ain't using your mic?
Because I didn't even think about. I didn't even.
You do an interview and you ain't got your mic.
I'm talking into the mic on the computer.
I mean,
but she sounds great. What
you got to get me together, Hatem. So you got I got a mic just like yours too. You got to get me together. Okay. So next time I'll have the mic.
You've been doing the show with the mic, right? You've been doing your show with the mic.
My podcast.
Yes.
Yes, I do. I use the mic. Okay. Yes. But but all that time we spent setting up, how come you didn't ask about my mic then? You trying to embarrass me?
No, I'm looking. I don't see the mic. I'm sitting up here like, come on, man.
I forgot. I forgot. I did. I forgot.
But now she's also dropping the moniker, the teacher. She is now the educational chameleon because some of y'all fools out there done ruined it for her. So she's the educational chameleon now. Anybody interested in reaching her can reach out to you at.
I'm on Instagram, Janice Rowley _. I'm on Facebook. Everything is Janice Rowley. You can reach out to Hatem and he can get in touch with me. I'm going to have, I'll be publishing my website real soon. Same name, Janice Rowley. So everything is Janice Rowley.
We're going to be doing the e-course soon?
Absolutely. I'm getting that together, sir. Okay. And Kwame, did you know that Hatem was a slave driver? Did you know that?
Yeah, I've heard it.
And he has no compassion once he has told you what you need to get done in the field. No compassion.
Hold on. This is coming from the woman that kids come up with A's and she just smashed them down. I know you did your paper 2 weeks ago. Put it down. I will grade it when I grade it.
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
Yep. Parents and stuff talking about I'm a slave driver.
But you are. I'm just saying. You know you are. You're not denying it.
I work hard too, baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I got to.
So he feels like he sets the ber, and
absolutely.
And we got to try to climb up that mud.
Absolutely.
One of my elders told me in a very funny situation. We was looking for some nation builders for Simba one time. Somehow we got in a conversation, and he looked at me and we talking. He said, you can't be comparing nation builders to you. I said, well, he said, you can't be comparing nation builders to you because, I mean, you're different. You know what I'm saying? You don't have a normal life. We need people with a normal, because at this time I was living in the house with my sons and he knew all the stories. He like, well, you're not normal. So when we're looking for nation builders, we can't, you're not the comparison. We don't need, you know what I'm saying? We can't.
The bar is too high.
Right. It's too high,
So in other words, you were called an anomaly, an outlier.
And in many ways, that's usually what I am wherever I go, because it's like I jump at the shit and I jump all the way in. You know what I'm saying? I try to most of the time.
No, you do. You do. You do. You've always been that way too. You do.
So, but my big sister, I love you, and I
love you too.
I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
we're gonna
you.
have you back. We're gonna have it back. We'll have you back.
Man.
Good.
Because I want to do something on the effects of Brown versus Board of Education.
And like I told you before, we can do that, but our school system looks more like Plessy versus Ferguson.
And you're gonna have to break that one down. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to break it. You're gonna have to break it. So, you know what I'm saying? So, but everybody, I want to thank y'all for joining us on the journey. This is Ujima.
Yes.
During Kwanzaa, and we're gonna be airing this over and over again. So y'all ain't got to worry. I mean, well, catch it when you can, right? But also make sure that you support what is it? Thoughts of the Teacher? Where's it?
Thoughts from the Teacher, the
Thoughts from
podcast.
the Teacher. You ain't gonna change it to Thoughts from the Chameleon?
No, it's Thoughts from the Teacher featuring the educational chameleon.
Right.
Yes.
So check it out. Those of you that's on Giami Journey, I'll be posting. Y'all can see her post up on my on Giami Journey timeline, as well as every time she drop a show, we're posting it up. It's good information. I'm sharing it with other people in education as well. And it's not just for educators, family.
That's
the information that she gives can help us move our children to where they need to be.
And one more thing, it's the holiday. A lot of parents and a lot of adults are buying a lot of young people gifts. Buy your kid a book and then have them read it. Buy yourself a book and you can read it too. Like, we need to read, people. We need to read.
Does Audibles count?
Yeah, well, so Audibles is listening to words, which for a lot of people is a great start. Our brains need more exercise. And so if you're listening and you're present listening, that's better than nothing at all. But nothing replaces reading like reading. Doesn't have to be hardcore, doesn't have to be academic. It can be light or fun. For teenagers in particular, there's an entire genre of young adult literature that the young people oftentimes get tricked into enjoying. Get your kid a book.
And, you know, I want to speak to what Janice just said in terms of, so for example, I've been blind for 27 years now. And there was a period where I wanted to hear nothing but Black authors. But at that time, Black readers were destitute. And so you would get white authors reading Black novels, and it doesn't work. It does not work. So I can truly appreciate what you're saying there, and and how Tim, I've talked to Mama Condi about that as well, because she thought an author, she knew the author was Black, but the reader, was white. And I had explained to her, I was like, no, I said, you just do not get the same flavor. And after I told her that, when she was listening, she was like, you're right. It's just not the same. So yeah. And then more importantly is to be able to see the words, and you're able to, quote unquote, tune it in according to the frequency that you're going to take it in, and not through somebody else's.
Yes, right. Right.
You just gave me an idea.
See,
right. Oh, listen, there's a whole bunch of Black books that are about to hit the public domain. And one of the things that we're going to start seeing is, like, Amazon is buying up a lot of these books, or he's taking these rights, and they're starting to read these books online for people so that they can listen. I'm saying, why can't we do the same? We got mics, you know what I'm saying? We got young people that need to practice reading anyway.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, that's just a thought. Somebody out there, feel free, just go and make sure you.
So he get ready to crack that whip.
Yep. He just had an idea live. Now watch. Give it about a month. He gonna have a whole platform full of people doing just what he
Read
just
books.
suggested.
Hey, listen, reading books.
Yep.
Read books. And sending money to some of those families that ain't getting the money from those authors, because I'm quite sure some of those families are not getting any of the residuals. Because I was on Amazon the other day and I saw Destruction of Black Civilization on Amazon. About $10. Read it to you, blah, blah, blah. But then the question is
Diop's family getting anything? No.
Right. They ain't no.
Right.
So, but all right, family, I got to get up, and I love both of y'all.
Thank you. Love y'all too.
Before you go, Janice, give us that quote one more time.
Academic success comes on the other side of immense frustration and failure. Children need to learn that. Adults need to learn that. Winning is a result of having failed multiple times.
And then, as my Kemetic group says, Amen Hatepu. Amen is satisfied.
Ashe.
Yes.
Give thanks, sis.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to both of you.
Watch the next video. Watch the next video. Watch the next video. No, I'm just joking, family. Family, thank you for joining us. Be sure to catch us on the next video, family. Peace. Watch the next video. Watch.